Thank you very much, and thank you to Minister Stephen Donnelly, been with us here today for the HSE Capital Plan, and over £1 billion, Minister, isn't this incredible? £1 billion for infrastructure across the country, and I know that you're looking at it in the hospital environment and also in the primary care network. Minister, of course, delighted to see the investment across Roscommon and Galway, particularly in Ballinasloe for Portiuncula University Hospital. We're seeing 20 million been allocated there. Minister, I visited the hospital last week, and when you see literally the 50-bed ward block up, like, third level, it's the third floor is completed. There's such progress over the last year to 2 years. It's absolutely incredible. And this 15 million been allocated for 2023 is really going to see those 50 single beds en suite. Like, the excitement and joy around this, when you have 13 beds and 13 rooms in a hospital, it's just, all I can say to you is the staff cannot wait. There is a lot of excitement and anticipation, and I know that there'll be a lot of demand around how it's going to be used. But what it means is that patients who are in multi-bed ward blocks, we will no longer have that. We're going to be able to deliver care and dignity and respect for patients and their families at all stages of life, and particularly when it's very difficult at the end stages of life. Minister, as well as that, there is 4 million been allocated for OPD, for the former OPD. So they moved outpatients to a building on the grounds of the hospital. This is a great initiative, and they wanted to get the beds on, they wanted to get more single rooms, particularly dealing with the pandemic. That's 8 single rooms en suite again, with two-bed units. That's 12 beds. That's literally doubling the capacity. Minister, if I might ask, HSE Estates will be making some decisions, I know, very shortly. Those beds will, as far as I know, are ready. Portiuncula Hospital is recruiting staff at the moment. And of course, a lot of staff are considering Portiuncula because we're just off the motorway. We have now increased to over 1,000 people in that hospital, over 200 people in the last 2 years. But the challenge is just equipping those rooms. So I suppose just around the approval for equipment of those rooms so that those rooms are on stream for this winter. Minister, I want to thank you particularly as well for the addition of the expansion of ED, and that consideration has been added as a new project in the HSE Capital Plan. The rooms that I spoke about, we need those on stream for this winter, because that new project, of course, is probably going to take slightly longer. I would hope that that is a modular build. I would hope that that is going to deliver, that we can also maybe get that approval to design and perhaps tender stage to be ready for next year. It would be incredible to actually see that perhaps HSE Estates might be able to do some of that preparation work so that come the start of next year, we might be in a position to allocate funding to a project that is ready to move forward very quickly. Minister, the paediatrics, what has happened in ED is that COVID streaming is still happening, and the reason being that we don't have single rooms to manage infection control. There's nowhere to bring a person that is infectious in the hospital. There's nowhere to bring them. And so peds and paediatrics and that team stepped up in the hospital during COVID, and they moved their ED for children and young people under 18 upstairs to their own section. And they then lost out on some of the other sections they needed, particularly around maybe oncology. Currently, the hospital is working so hard. The equipping of those rooms will really make it easier for them to potentially open up that space again for paediatrics. Over a quarter of presentations to ED in Ballinasloe, in Portiuncula, are under 18. They're under 18. And we're also seeing sometimes challenging behaviours, in difficult situations, and staff manage that. But in paediatrics, where I got to visit again last week, you're looking at wards where healthcare staff can't get in around the bed, Minister. And so they have to move the child or move them out to another space to try and actually deliver healthcare and deliver in a crisis situation. Minister, just around the approval of equipping those rooms with HSE Estates, and perhaps approval to move to design stage or at that point for the ED expansion so that we can look at this for 2024. Minister, it is a period of real excitement. I know that there will be real joy when we see that those 50 beds come on stream as well. I hope, hopefully, with the opening of the 12 beds that might happen. Please God, it's September. It would be wonderful if I had a wish list and a little time that I could indicate. And I also just really want to acknowledge the funding as well for St. Bridget's Hospital. I know that's Oak Grove under CHO2. I know that Roscommon University Hospital, that rehab unit, getting that 20 beds and that increase is absolutely massive. And of course the Sacred Heart residential unit. If I might ask around e-health, and maybe, I know this is the HSE Capital Plan and its infrastructure, I might just ask about e-health and funding into e-health, that actual IT infrastructure. Is there anything around that, or if you might like to comment on that? And then just, is there any way that we might streamline HSE estates using e-health and IT to do that? Thank you.